Right. Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. We're always digging into some pretty fascinating stuff, but this one really caught my eye,
Oh yeah.
and it all started with this account of a wedding tradition, and it wasn't just any wedding tradition. It was Russian, and the more I read about it, the more I realized how much it reveals about a culture. Like, what do we really value? What do we prioritize?
I'm intrigued. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. When we look at these significant moments in life, like weddings, they're not just personal celebrations, right? They often reflect a much, much deeper story about a culture's history, values, you know, even individual priorities. And that's what we're going to try to unpack for you today. Like, how do these seemingly personal events like weddings actually offer a window into these much broader cultural perspectives?
Yeah, and the contrast here is striking. Like, we're going to be looking at wedding traditions in India and Russia,
Mm.
and and the source material we're using, it just kind of throws you right into the world of Indian weddings, and you immediately get this sense of scale and importance. It's not just a family affair; it's a major cultural event.
It's interesting. The source mentions that weddings in India, they're so significant that they're often depicted in film.
Oh yeah, yeah. And historically speaking, the source even mentions wars being fought over marriage. I
Wow.
mean, that gives you a sense of how central these unions have been throughout history.
Absolutely. I mean, that speaks volumes about the importance of family alliances and lineage, especially in terms of societal power structures. It's really, really
And then
fascinating.
you get into the actual wedding itself, and the sheer amount of effort and financial investment is pretty remarkable. The source talks about people spending their life savings, taking on loans, and sometimes that even leads to really difficult situations like bonded labor, which is a consequence the source specifically points out.
It's a lot of pressure, social and financial.
It really is. And the things people worry about on the wedding day, the bride's appearance, making sure the guests are comfortable, the future happiness of the couple. Oh, and of course, the source casually mentions the wedding lunch. I mean, it's almost funny that this everyday detail is mixed in with these bigger concerns.
Right, right. But I mean, I guess it just shows you how many layers there are to these events.
Exactly. And then the source expands a little bit beyond the immediate family and starts talking about the social dynamics at play.
Yeah.
Weddings are this chance for young people to meet potential partners, older people to connect, discuss their health. Women get to display their jewelry and saris.
I see it. I see it. It's this vibrant picture of a community coming together around this one central event. Really interesting.
And that's where the story takes a turn because now the source shifts to Russia and it's a personal experience in Moscow. The author describes being really struck by the city's war memorials.
Oh, interesting.
And it's clear that Russia has this deep pride in its military history. They mention three major victories: Peter the Great against Sweden, Tsar Alexander the First defeating Napoleon, and World War II against Hitler.
Right, right. And these victories are really, really central to their national identity, and it's evident in the monuments and statues all over the city.
Exactly. And then there's this place called Peace Park. It sounds beautiful. They have a monument detailing all the battles, these fountains, summer flowers, and they even light it up at night.
So it's not just a memorial, it's a destination.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's here, in this setting, that the author witnesses this wedding scene.
No,
But it's not what you'd expect. It's a cold, drizzly summer day.
not ideal wedding weather.
Not exactly. And then you have this young couple, clearly just married. The bride's in this beautiful white satin dress with pearls and lace. Two little girls are holding her train.
Oh, that's sweet.
It is. And the groom's in his military uniform. There's a young boy holding an umbrella. They have the bouquet, the whole picture.
Classic wedding imagery, but against this backdrop of national remembrance. That's interesting.
Right. And the author's kind of baffled at first. Like, why would you choose to visit a war memorial right after getting married?
I mean, there are so many other places they could have gone to celebrate.
Exactly. And the answer comes from this chance encounter with an older gentleman who speaks English. They end up talking a bit about Indian culture. The gentleman mentions Raj Kapoor films, a Hindi song he knows. He even points out statues of Nehru, Gandhi, and Indira Gandhi in Moscow.
Wow. So a bit of cultural exchange happening
Yeah,
there.
it's really neat. And through this conversation, the Russian wedding custom is explained. It turns out that after the official registration, usually on a weekend, couples visit important national monuments, especially war memorials,
Really, no matter the weather.
no matter the weather. And men in Russia have mandatory military service, so they often wear their uniform for the wedding, even if they're not in the military anymore.
I mean, that just goes to show you how deeply ingrained the idea of national service is in their culture. even on a day as personal as a wedding.
Right. And here's the really powerful part. The reason behind this tradition. It's meant to be a mark of gratitude to the ancestors who fought and died in Russia's wars, whether they won or lost.
That's that's pretty profound.
It is. Visiting the memorial is a way of remembering those sacrifices that allowed for a peaceful and independent Russia.
And seeking blessings from those who came before.
Exactly. The source specifically says that love for one's country comes before elaborate wedding celebrations. And this isn't just a Moscow thing. Apparently, it's a tradition upheld by elders all over Russia,
So it's a deeply held value.
really deeply held.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, does something like this exist in India? The source actually asks, are Indian children taught about sacrifices made during events like the 1857 War of Independence or the 1942 Quit India movement?
I mean, do newlyweds visit places like the Andaman Cellular Jail or remember figures like Bhagat Singh?
It doesn't seem like it. The source observes that current Indian wedding priorities are more about beautiful saris, jewelry, elaborate menus, the party aspect.
Yeah.
And you can tell the author is moved by the Russian tradition.
Almost like there's a missing piece.
Yeah, a missing piece in how certain sacrifices are acknowledged during these milestones. And,
Yeah.
and it makes you wonder what historical shifts in India might have led to this emphasis on the celebratory side of weddings.
Right, right. I mean, it really raises this question about how cultures choose to integrate their national narratives into people's lives. In Russia, it's a very conscious act of remembrance tied to a major life transition.
Whereas in India, at least as it is depicted in our source, it's more about these social and celebratory aspects.
Yeah.
So to sum it all up, we have this core contrast. Indian weddings, as our source describes, prioritize elaborate celebrations and the personal and social connections around them. But in Russia, there's this act of remembrance and national gratitude woven right into the wedding day. It's a powerful juxtaposition of cultural values.
And I think what's so striking is how these values are so deeply embedded, even in something as personal as a wedding. The Russian custom shows how a society can weave its history and sense of duty into a major life event.
So now we turn to you, our listener. Thinking about these two different approaches, what do they reveal about the values and priorities different cultures emphasize, especially during big life events?
Does it make you reconsider any traditions or priorities in your own life or culture?
This deep dive was all about showing you how personal moments can intersect with collective memory and cultural values in unexpected ways. We really encourage you to keep exploring how different cultures shape us and to think about the role of tradition and remembrance in your own life.
It's amazing what you can learn from just taking a closer look.
Until next time.
See you then.